Welcome to the July 14th, 2025 Eugene City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this hybrid format. Anyone wishing to access the meeting remotely can do so by watching the live stream on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed on the city's public webcast and meeting material web page. Tonight's meeting will include a public comment period. If you wish to speak and have not already done so, please fill out a request to speak form on our public webcast and meeting material web page or at the entrance to the room. We'll accept requests to speak forms until 7:35 p.m. These forms will be used to generate the random order of speakers and correctly enter speakers' names into the public record. The public comment period will be limited to 90 minutes and conclude by 10 p.m., whichever occurs first. If the number of speakers exceeds the time we have allotted, we will encourage speakers to consider abbreviating their remarks so the maximum number of speakers can be heard. For those joining the meeting remotely for the public comment period, you are welcome to email your comments to City Council. As a reminder, Council's meeting rules of conduct apply to all attendees, both in the chamber and in the body, and included no flags, signs, loud or disruptive language, noise, or conduct that obstructs the business of council. Please keep the room quiet and respectful for all speakers. You're welcome to wave your hands in silent support. Additionally, we encourage those that are ill or who have had close contact with others who are ill to join our meeting remotely rather than in person. We have masks available in the lobby if you need one. In case of emergency, an automated external defibrillator is located on the counter behind the staff at the west side of the room. Emergency exits are through the double doors located at the back of the room and the double doors near the front of the room. The doors to the patio also can be used as needed. And with that, I am the council president too tonight, being your sort of mayor in I'm an imposter mayor. So I call the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the Eugene City Council to order, and we'll gavel in. And we'll start off with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. This land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories to honor Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland in the United States by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also can acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalapuya Ilehai. Kalapuya descendants and citizens of the Confederate tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon, they continue to make contributions in our communities, here and across the lands. We express our respect for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the state of Oregon and across the nation. Okay. For ceremonial matters, I'm not going to read the proclamations, but acknowledge that we have 3 this month. One for Independence Day, which is just passed last week, the Day of Compassion, and the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Every month, the mayor selects proclamations to acknowledge at the first council meeting of the month, and she's out of town this evening. Again, I have listed the proclamations, and I am not going to read them all in full tonight. And then on July 26th, we mark the anniversary with the Americans with Disability Act and a landmark law that affirmed dignity and access and equity for millions of people. So thank you, and that concludes our first agenda item, and we'll move to committee reports. And I believe Councilor Groves has a committee report.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilor Ye after Councilor Groves.
My name's Randy Groves. I'm the City Councilor for Ward 8, which is West Southwest Eugene, and I'm speaking as in my role as Chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. This is our July report. The 2025 legislative session ended on June 27th with much accomplishment and also some important items left unresolved. As news reports have shared, over 3,400 pieces of legislation were introduced, a record for the legislature, with substantial policy adopted regarding unemployment insurance, health care, unhoused shelter funding, firearm restrictions, and a number of projects funded within our area. Unfortunately, a comprehensive transportation package was not completed before the end of the session, and that's leading to some of the layoffs you've been hearing about and degradation of our transportation system, unfortunately. Of note, the city was allocated $6 million for our Clear Lake Road Economic Development Infrastructure Project. As you may recall, this project was the City Council's top capital funding priority, and it also was prioritized by the Eugene Chamber of Commerce, and many local business leaders advocated on behalf of the project. Many thanks to the entire Eugene delegation for supporting the project, and a special thank you for Senator James Manning and Speaker of the House Julie Fahey for their work to get this accomplished. Last week, Council received an email packet of information that will include an end-of-session report from the IGR manager focused on Council's priorities, a broader end-of-session report from CFM Advocates, which is the city's contract lobby firm, a Federal United Front report, including a digital copy of the 2025 United Front booklet that sits at our desks this evening, and an overflow of the recently passed federal H.R. 1, the Budget Reconciliation Act. With the end of the legislative session, the weekly IGR update emails will be paused until the start of the 2026 legislative session in February. Additionally, the IGR committee will be on hiatus during council summer break, restarting regular meetings the first week of October to discuss draft priorities for the 2026 short session. As we have in past years, the IGR committee and manager will be bringing the proposed 2026 priorities for discussion to council in the winter prior to the start of the legislative session. Reach out to myself or the other 2 members of our IGR committee, which include Councilor Evans and Councilor Ye. That is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ye.
Thank you. I wanted to report on our police commission meeting, which happened on July 10th, which was last Thursday. We had a very robust discussion and spirited public comments about EPD's policy on license plate reader cameras, sometimes called flock cameras. And whatever side of this discussion you fall on, the public comment was very enlightening, and I think had a lot of reach beyond the policy that we were talking about. And so I wanted to let counselors know if you're interested in seeing that. There's obviously a recording, and you can do so.
All right. Thank you, Counselor Ye. Counselor Keating.
Thank you, Council President. On July 10th, I attended the Lane Regional Air Protection Agency meeting as Council's liaison to El Rapa. On the agenda, we had a highly informative and inspiring presentation on DEQ's vehicle inspection program. Those tracking may be aware that the cities of Medford and Portland have a vehicle inspection program. You can make an argument it's very similar to California's smog check program. And so at my request, I was pleased that the executive director put together a robust program or a robust presentation around the vehicle inspection program. I'm happy to share that with colleagues. We also heard about Lane County's carbon monoxide and ozone levels, and we received the 2024 annual report that highlighted achievements in El Rapa's permit management, air monitoring, and partnership development during this last year of strategic transformation. That's my El Rapa report, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you. Other items of interest or reports from council? Looking to see where Counselor Leach is not. She's not with us? She's with us. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll move on to item number 3 in our this evening, and that's our consent calendar. So on consent calendar 1, any comments? Anything pulled from the consent calendar? All right. If there are no questions from council, I will turn over to the council vice president to put forward a motion. Counselor Leach.
Move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
Okay. Everybody record their vote. And it passes 8-0. All right. So now we will get to approval. We've done the consent calendar, approval consent agenda. Okay. Consent calendar 2. So approval of a resolution requesting that jurisdiction over portions of Crow Road, Green Hill Road, and LaPointe Drive be transferred to the city of Eugene. Council Vice President.
Move to approve the items on consent calendar 2.
Second.
Okay. And record your vote. And the vote passes 8-0. Okay. Get that. Move to approve items on consent calendar 2. All right. And then Council Ford. And so I think we're ready for public comment. All right. Cherish, you want to put up a list of speakers that we have this evening?
Thank you, Councilor Evans. We have 49 speakers signed up for this evening. I will announce 2 speakers' names at a time. When you are called to speak, please state your name and your ward or neighborhood if known before beginning your comments. If you are announced as the next speaker, please move to the seat in the front row designated for the next speaker. When it is your turn, you may come to the podium. Please leave any bags you may have with you at your seat. If you have documents to give counsel, please place them in the basket near the podium. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. Please note the timer will flash red when you have 15 seconds remaining to speak. Your microphone will be muted at the 2.5-minute mark. Please note that use of profanity is prohibited, and any instances of profanity will result in immediate termination of speaking privileges. Our first speaker this evening is Lynn Woodrich, followed by Stephen Gilbert.
My name's Lynn Woodrich. I'm the Active Bethel Community Co-Chair. I've lived in the Bethel area over 30 years. I live in Ward 8. I'm speaking for the Active Bethel Community Board. I printed out, and Steve Gilbert distributed, flyers to the businesses on Highway 99, letting them know to file illegal camping complaints every day, as was suggested to us when we met with the mayor. They now have clear directions how to file. I hope you've seen an uptick. Many had given up. The railroad overpass on Highway 99 is a safety concern for vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians, yet nothing has been done to prevent illegal camper access. St. Vincent de Paul took over the shuttered auto parts store, and they're moving in multiple trailers in the back lot. The nonprofit footprint continues to grow on Highway 99 as local for-profit businesses are being forced to close as a result of the nuisance nonprofit businesses that are not taking responsibility for the problems they're creating. Lost tax revenues and more police, fire, ambulance costs to the city. When will the city stop directing all nonprofit services to Highway 99 in Bethel? When will the city do something to support the businesses here that are contributing to the tax base? These are not rhetorical questions. We would welcome Cahoots 2.0 to find their home on Highway 99 amidst the problem nonprofits. Regarding the Public Health Standards Report, as I mentioned in my last speech to you, I like the suggestion that Councilor Leach made of narrowing the descriptions of the zone designations. The narrower zone verification requests would give the planners a way to deny the most hazardous businesses. Then maybe we could have denied the fuel tank farm in the Train Song neighborhood. Please work on this. As mentioned in the survey, the current system is flawed, allowing a fuel tank farm and biofuels transfer station in a residential area. The J.H. Baxter site was there prior to the homes being built across the street, but it shows the horrific damage having an industrial business too close to home. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Our next speakers are Stephen Gilbert, followed by Ken Willis.
Hi, I'm Steve Gilbert, and I'm a lifelong resident of Bethel. My wife is too, and our 7 children. Good evening. I want to share another city's experience with homelessness. The city is Denton, Texas. In 2016, the city joined with local nonprofits to take a collective approach towards addressing homelessness in Denton that would result in homelessness that is rare, brief, and non-recurring. Denton's homeless population has grown every year since. Last November, the city manager, Sarah Hensley, said part of the reason is that other cities drop off people experiencing homelessness at Denton services. Manager Hensley went on to say, "If you build it, they will come. It's no different than any other city that has those kinds of resources. That is a fact. They are being brought here by other cities and being dropped off. Some people are receiving bus tickets. When you have services, a place to sleep, why not come to a place like this?" End quote. Due to the financial burden from these homeless individuals, Denton city officials now want these other cities to share in the cost. Eugene, like Denton, has built it. And our homelessness is not becoming rare, brief, and non-recurring. We have one of the highest homeless rates in the country. Lane County officials acknowledge that nearly 1 in 3 homeless individuals here became homeless somewhere else. Eugene, unlike Denton, refuses to ask the questions or acknowledge the facts that chronically homeless individuals are moving here on their own or being sent here. Eugene has built it in Bethel without notice to Bethel or consideration of the devastating impact that would have on local businesses and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Our next speakers are Ken Willis, followed by Jeffrey Gordon.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Ken Willis. I'm here to ask basically one question about the flock camera system and data governance. I had an opportunity to talk to Mike Clark on the phone last week, and we had a real interesting conversation about the lack of data governance and the difference between IT and AI. So my wife and I are part of a company called Blue Strategy that does medical AI contracted for the state of California. So we have deep knowledge of AI systems and how dangerous they can be if they're not monitored correctly, particularly with data governance. So my question for Eugene and EPD is, when the decision to put these cameras in was made, was there any discussion on data governance? Is there any understanding of data governance? What happens with third-party server farms in different states that have different laws and regulations regarding the sharing and selling of information? These fundamental questions have not been answered at all, and we distributed these cameras through the system anyways. It was done clandestinely without anybody knowing it, and as EPD is trying to build up trust in all of these communities, it just shot it. So there's a moral and ethical hole in the middle of this whole thing. Why was the community not made aware of this? Because it looks very suspicious, particularly when you have a company like Flock that is indemnified as it is. Take a little time to look at this company. They have obviously been in legal trouble across the spectrum in counties and states. The state of California and the San Francisco government right now, their police department, is using this Flock data borrowed from Oakland without Oakland knowing it, and using that to do police services in the street without people knowing. There's a chance for corrupted data because AI systems are not accurate yet. So there's some real moral, ethical, and intellectual problems with this whole system that I would like you guys to really look at. Data governance and the moral, ethical question of doing this in secret. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Our next speakers are Jeffrey Gordon, followed by Ken Rothman.
Hello. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Gordon. I live and work in Ward 7. Forgive me for being a little bit caught off guard. First of all, let me say, I hope everyone had a good time at Oregon Country Fair. I know I did. And, well, I'm here today to talk about the Eugene Police Commission. I attended the last meeting virtually and witnessed the entire thing and gave testimony, so I'll try to not repeat myself too much. You can see it's on the record. But first, what I want to say is, and I think you'll hear this from other people, I felt that Commissioner Jack Raday was very disrespectful to the concerns of the public, and I would like to call for his resignation from the Eugene Police Commission. I don't think he's representing our interests well. I think he was very dismissive of very legitimate concerns about privacy and safety. The second thing, well, since I have the time. Okay, so this is regarding the police presence on July 1st. Acting Chief Burke said that employees of Federal Protective Services work for Homeland Security and wear HSI identification. So this is on record. This is who the EPD established communication with regarding policing of the building while an immigration enforcement action was occurring in the building. DHS is included as an immigration enforcement agency per Oregon Revised Statute 180.805. I quote, Federal Immigration Authority means the United States Department of Homeland Security, the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, et cetera. It's a long quote, but that's the relevant part. Furthermore, on March 13th, 2017, the Eugene City Council unanimously passed the Protection for Individuals Ordinance, Council Ordinance number 20579. The ordinance provides certain protections for all Eugene residents, including immigrants. This action puts provision on existing state law into city code preventing use of city resources to detect or apprehend individuals whose only violations of law are present in the United States in violation of federal immigration laws. So, the Eugene Police Department had communication with Homeland Security during an immigration enforcement action at the same building where several apprehensions by ICE were being carried out. Therefore, I'm calling for the resignation of Police Chief Skinner and his public apology for violating the public
Thank you,
trust.
Jeffrey. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Ken Rothman, followed by Rob Sheldon.
Hello, thanks for allowing me to speak here. My name is Ken Rothman. I'm in Ward number 2. I'm speaking here to try to encourage Eugene to be strong in our sanctuary city and to encourage our police to cooperate as little as possible with lawless actions by ICE. I'm not speaking as a representative of OCAN, which is the Oregon Community Asylum Network, but I've been a volunteer for OCAN for the past 6 years. And I want to tell you a little bit about some immigrants' experience that I've worked with. I'll start with a woman I know well who was fleeing for her life from a cartel. She was a high-level administrator in a city of a capital city in a region. And when she got here, she was very traumatized, like people tend to get in that process. And what surprised me the most about this woman was her fear of ICE after her experience in her immigration journey was stronger than her fear of the cartel and the man of the cartel who was her boss in this city who abused her. Another person, a man I know who actually stayed with me his first months, walked all the way from his country to the United States and went through, all of these people went through the legal process at the time, and he had to wear an ankle monitor for a long time like a criminal. And yet a third person was prosecuted for speaking up against his country's falsification
Thank you, Ken.
of
Your time
medical
is
data.
concluded. Our next speakers are Rob Sheldon, followed by Kelly Sutherland.
Evening, everybody. My second time now. And I just had to rewrite everything from scratch just a few minutes ago. So just a few minutes ago, I listened to an interview between Chief Skinner and Captain Jake Burke, who was described as EPD's LPR expert. I did not begin my opposition to Flock to pick a fight with EPD specifically. However, I keep seeing them making statements that are either inaccurate or dishonest about Flock, its capabilities, and downplaying its risks. I want to talk about a few of those real quick. The first is the timeline. Their grant application they were notified that it was awarded in July of 2024. They've made statements that they just simply did not have the time to talk to the public or notify anybody about it ahead of time. That is untrue. They had plenty of time. They keep on describing Flock as just LPRs. It is not. A direct quote here is that it is a camera that's set up and intended to capture the rear license plate of vehicles. That is not what it does. It allows them to search for vehicles by description with no license plate information whatsoever. They described it as, and this is a quote again, somebody should assume it's just doing that, license plates. Again, that's not what it's doing. It's so funny to me that people are just convinced that we're watching everybody's movements, that we can just pick people out using LPRs, using this system. That is, in fact, exactly what they can do. And they will and are. They describe this as the opposition to it as a level of nervousness with new technology. I assure you, I am not nervous around new technology. They talked about the data. Mr. Burke said that he had met with Flock to better understand the data last week. Perhaps he should have done that a year ago while reviewing the system. He said that data is our data. They do not own the encryption keys to that data. We in tech say that, therefore, you do not, in fact, own that data. He said that Flock does not have access to our data. That is categorically false. A story just broke earlier today about involving Oakland and San Francisco, doing exactly the thing that people are warning you will be done. It turned out the departments were in fact sharing data via the Flock network with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. The exact quote here was, rats, not quite quick enough. There's a lot more, though. I really like
Thank you, Rob. Our next speakers are Kelly Sutherland, followed by Janet Ayers.
Hello, City Councilors, Council President Evans, and City Manager Maderi. I'm Kelly Sutherland. I am a resident of Ward 5, Executive Director of Relief Nursery in Ward 1, an LTD Board Representative for Subdistrict 4, and a spouse of a downtown commercial property owner. So I'm here wearing several hats tonight as a nonprofit executive with ties to the business community, a public representative, and someone who is personally invested in the future of downtown Eugene. We are at a turning point. The recent daylight attack on a local business person, colleague, and friend underscores growing safety concerns. A safer, more vibrant downtown matters to all of us, businesses, families, transit riders, and the broader community. We are grateful for the efforts by the city and Eugene Police, but challenges persist community-wide. Just last week, Relief Nursery experienced a theft. My husband's downtown property faces ongoing vandalism, drug use and trespassing, incidents that frighten tenants and disrupt business. Police response can take several hours, and while some businesses rely on private security, they are still left to clean up the immediate aftermath. Abandoned items, drug paraphernalia, graffiti, even human excrement. There are encouraging signs with reported crime trending downward, but many incidents go unreported, and therefore those committing the crimes are not held accountable, and this creates a tremendous amount of frustration and fatigue. The impact on the community morale and downtown businesses is real. We cannot afford to be paralyzed by the complexity of the problem. This is a moment for coordinated, sustained effort. We need consistent police presence, better mental and behavioral health response, and aligned and collaborative investment in downtown safety. As an LTD board member, I know LTD plays a role in enhancing downtown. We recently committed $4 million to improve the Eugene Station, adding customer amenities and technology upgrades to support safety in and around the hub. The station also serves as the main base for LTD public safety staff who work closely with EPD, and that partnership will continue to grow. Eugene's reputation for outdoor beauty, vibrant culture, and a proud track town, college town spirit continues to attract visitors from across the country and the world. And as tourism grows, revitalizing downtown becomes even more critical, transforming it into a hub of commerce and community. We all believe in the future of downtown Eugene, a place that honors our rich history, supports entrepreneurship, and serves as a gateway to our region's prosperity.
Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Janet Ayers, followed by Naftali Renshaw.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity for all of us to be able to come before our elected officials to voice our thoughts on progress or lack thereof by the city. 2, possibly 3 topics, and they're not really related, and if I have time, I'll speak to the third. First one, regarding, I live in the Whitaker. I am from Ward 7. I've been a almost 40-year citizen resident, and I've seen a huge decline in the city with the what the city prefers to call the unhoused. And I agree with the earlier speaker that it seems to be an industry within itself. I'd like to encourage council members to have the courage to clean up with law enforcement and things necessary to get folks off the streets. I had a conversation, now I'm going to transition from that to the Chambers Connector and its closure. I had a conversation with Federal Railroad Administration, the PR guy, Vladimir, last Saturday. I told him the scuttlebutt in the city is that they're having no negotiation or flagging problems, that Union Pacific is requiring the city, or they're advocating the use of their flaggers as opposed to the city and the marquee board that directs the traffic. I don't feel, well, in my talk with Vladimir about this, he had no idea that any of this kind of conversation was taking place with he or his agency office. He had not heard of any of that. So I'd like to ask that the city provide a truthful statement or a clarifying statement as to what the holdup is on getting on with the Chambers Connector based on the conversation I had with Federal Railroad Administration. I don't know his last name. I can't pronounce it. It's Russian, I believe, Vladimir. The community would like to know definitively whether you have the funds for it or not.
Thank you, Janet. Your time is. Our next speakers this evening are Naftali Renshaw, followed by Andrea Coit.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for hearing us this evening. My name is Naftali Renshaw. I'm a faith leader, the director of the Belonging Space. I facilitate the Maxwell Community Hub off of River Road, where the Lavender Network is housed. I am the interfaith and de-escalation coordinator for Eugene Pride, and work with and serve with a number of other nonprofits and organizations that are either led by targeted communities or are designed to assist and show solidarity with targeted communities. I came here today to speak to Eugene being a sanctuary city and in a sanctuary state. And it is disappointing as a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state that we actually do not hear very much vocal support and action with our in solidarity with our targeted immigrant neighbors. In my work with targeted communities, I would like to underscore that targeted communities often view silence as compliance. This is further underscored when we look at the issue with the flock cameras right now. You've heard from many experts regarding the AI capabilities. Capabilities I don't think many of us in this room understand, but the experts do. If these flock cameras are accessible by ICE, we in fact are nullifying our commitment as a sanctuary city. We are betraying our immigrant neighbors, and we are violating the actual sanctions that we put in, the laws that we've placed to not comply with ICE. I would strongly urge the city to review the flock cameras, pull them down, and take a look at the AI capabilities that are causing us to violate our commitments to our immigrant community. Thank you.
Thank you, Naftali. Our next speakers are Andrea Coit, followed by John Lohr.
Good evening, Council. My name is Andrea Coit. I'm an attorney and I am an owner of Hutchinson Cox Law Firm. I'm here speaking on behalf of the law firm today to support our commitment to revitalizing the downtown and doing our part in that effort. We are located in the Woolworth building, so we are right there next to the barn light across from Kesey Square, and our parking garages open up to the alleyway that is across from the LTD bus terminal. So we have, as a law firm, have to have concern not only for our city and what we can do, but also for our clients and for our employees who are coming downtown to be a part of our firm and our commitment to be in this area. So our concern obviously is safety, and I'm here on behalf of my firm, and there are many others with us here tonight, to just express our commitment to join with the city of Eugene to do what we can to make it a safer place, and to express our commitment to stay in that location and do our part to make the city what it has been for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Our next speakers are John Lohr, followed by Craig Wainachek. Is there a John Lohr in the room? Okay, I will call for John one more time. I will move on to our next speaker, Craig Wainachek.
Thank you, City Councilor, City Manager. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Craig Wanacek. I live in Ward 5. I'm the CEO of the 22-year-old locally owned Summit Bank, headquartered right in the heart of downtown Eugene. We've strategically chosen to be there. We've strategically chosen to invest in our community and that building. We want to make it a great place for our colleagues to come and work. We want to support our economy by maintaining a visible and active presence in downtown Eugene. We believe in the potential of the downtown core, and we've continually backed that belief with our time, our resources, and our long-term commitment to stay here. After a member of our executive team was assaulted while walking from her car to our office on Pearl Street, right in front of the Palace Bakery at 8 a.m. on a sunny Tuesday morning, we're having serious conversations internally, conversations about safety, responsibility to our colleagues, and the future of our location. We are not alone. Many of our peers and clients are increasingly hesitant to come downtown. The reality is business owners, employees, and clients do not feel safe there. In addition to the assault, we are having people followed, yelled at, verbally threatened while walking to and from the bank. I can tell you that these are real incidents and they're happening. They might not make a police report, but it's happening to our colleagues and our clients. We too want to be part of the solution. We are willing to be a partner, but I also have a duty to protect our colleagues. If conditions don't improve, we will consider selling our building and relocating to another part of town or another town. This is not a threat, it's more a reflection of how serious the situation has really become downtown. We're grateful to the city manager, Maderi, for reaching out, and Mayor Knudsen for visiting our team, but we need more than acknowledgement, we need action. A strong downtown benefits everyone. We remain hopeful that with the right focus, it can once again be a great place for our clients, our friends, and our associates to come down where they want to be, not a place to avoid. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Craig. This is one last call for John Lohr. All right, moving on to our next speaker, Francesca Perez, followed by Heather Scott.
Hello, City Council. Thank you for your time and consideration. My name is Francesca Perez. I live in Ward 1, and I'm a proud member of Equitable Access Eugene, a coalition working to decriminalize psychedelic plants and fungi. It's to build a safer, more compassionate, and just future through policies rooted in care, not criminalization. I'm here today to speak in strong support of decriminalizing psychedelic plants and fungi in our community. Right now, we are facing a growing mental health crisis. So many people, especially those impacted by trauma, poverty, and marginalization, are struggling with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and addiction, and the systems we have in place are not reaching them. Psychedelic plants and fungi, when used responsibly, have shown enormous promise as tools for healing where conventional methods have failed. Decriminalization is about harm reduction. It's about making sure people can access these tools safely without the threat of arrest or shame. Prohibition doesn't stop use. It just pushes it underground, where harm increases and healing becomes harder to access. This isn't about encouraging unsafe behavior. It's about creating a framework for education, safety, and informed supportive use. It allows law enforcement to focus on real public safety concerns. It empowers individuals to explore healing on their own terms, in community, and without fear. We also have to name that criminalization has disproportionately harmed Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. Decriminalization is one step toward correcting that injustice and toward building a health system rooted in equity, choice, and compassion. As a resident of Ward 1 and a member of Equitable Access Eugene, I urge you to support this measure to decriminalize psychedelic plants and fungi. Let's move together towards the name of healing, dignity, and community wellness. I appreciate your time. I see a lot of people avoiding downtown, and I think that right now the mental health is more of people being isolated and alienated and being afraid and hiding in the shadows. And so I'd like to see people to be able to come out and talk about things and get the help they deserve, which is decriminalizing and leaning in towards each other. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Francesca. Our next speakers are Heather Scott, followed by Carrie Helwig Christopher.
Hi, thank you for taking public input. My name is Heather Scott, and I live in Ward 1. I'm a mother and psychologist and a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice. Even though Avella Airlines has decided to stop flying in and out of Eugene, there's still 4.5 months until they stop flying here. I ask you as city council members to speak up about the inhumanity of Avella or any other airline that flies deportation flights. These flights very often occur without fair hearings or proper legal proceedings and involve inhumane flight conditions reflecting serious violations of human and constitutional rights. These are abductions. Avella will be gone in December, but others may follow. Business practices of any airlines that contract with ICE do not align with values of the Eugene community or with the Eugene Airport's stated values regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion and ethical standards. I ask that you as Eugene City Council members speak up against allowing ICE contracted airlines and other businesses to conduct business in Eugene. I was very distressed to hear that the Eugene police aided in ICE abductions occurring on July 1st, despite pledging to uphold Oregon sanctuary law, which means not assisting ICE unless following a judicial order. I ask that the City Council take action against unlawful police support for ICE and against abductions occurring without due legal process. As a mother, psychologist, and longtime member of the Eugene community, I value our state's sanctuary status. I believe that families belong together and that separating parents and children is traumatic. People have a right to safety, and no one should be removed from their community without legal counsel or a fair trial. Most people being abducted have not committed crimes and are important members of our community and other communities. Please do what you can to support our state's sanctuary status. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Our next speakers are Carrie Helwig Christopher, followed by Ron Green.
Hello, my name is Carrie Helwig Christopher. I work in Ward 1 and I live in Ward 4. I'm a corporate and intellectual property attorney at Hirschner Hunter LLP. Our firm is located downtown at the corner of 7th and Pearl. We share the building with Cascade Title. I am speaking tonight because I care about the future of downtown Eugene, and while I have concerns for its viability and the safety of our people when they work, live, or visit downtown, I want the City Council to know that the business community showing up here tonight is here to advocate for collaboration and to be a part of the solution. Our firm made the decision to leave the downtown core and lease office space closer to privately owned Fifth Street Market a couple years ago. This decision was made in part because of the ongoing safety concerns we faced at our former building that had an alley behind it and covered parking areas where illegal activities frequently occurred. Even at our new office space, employees do not feel entirely safe, and our building management company provides private security 24/7 to assist in the event there is an unsafe or threatening situation. While I appreciate that data indicates crime rates are improving, we also know that perception is reality, and right now the reality is that people do not feel safe downtown. And I suspect that many incidents currently go unreported. A consistent and visible safety presence, whether police security or cleanup crews, would make a huge difference. I'd love to understand what's working, what could be changed, and how the business community can support this. And if there's a role for me and other professionals working downtown to help strengthen partnerships, whether it's through downtown associations or outreach, I'm ready to help. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carrie. Our next speakers are Ron Green, followed by Randall Collis.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Ron Green. I am not a Eugene resident, but I'm the president and CEO of Oregon Pacific Bank, and we operate a full-service banking branch on the corner of 11th and Oak in downtown Eugene. Like others, I'm here to discuss our concerns regarding downtown Eugene, particularly as it relates to the safety for our employees and customers. Unfortunately, downtown businesses have become desensitized and feel like we were forced to consider the environment acceptable. It is not. I think if you're not familiar with Oregon Pacific Bank, some context of who we are and our investment, which is relatively new to Eugene, is relevant to our conversation. And out of respect that we have a number of speakers, I'm going to abbreviate my comments and submit my letter online. Oregon Pacific Bank is one of 12 state charter banks left in the state of Oregon. And what that means is a bank that is headquartered here. Started in Oregon. We started in Florence in 1979. We had the opportunity to migrate to Eugene with an opportunity to hire 4 employees in 2016. Today, we have our branch on the corner of 11th and Oak with 27 full-time employees with an annual payroll of $3.5 million. Over the last 5 years, we have migrated 28 jobs from Florence to Eugene with an annual payroll and benefits of $3.7 million. This is our administrative office for our company, which is now in Eugene, Oregon. We are in downtown, and we are making an investment, and we would like to be part of it. That investment, besides the people and the payroll, consists of over $8 million in investing in real estate for us to own and to operate from. Is the City of Eugene committed to doing whatever is necessary to create an environment where businesses, their employees, and customers can safely work, live, and play? Businesses operating in downtown Eugene have options, as you've heard this evening, and may exercise them if their employees and customers are unwilling to come downtown. I believe the viability of downtown Eugene depends on your answer to that question. And of course, the actions that you take. Again, I appreciate the time to speak, and I will submit my complete letter online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Our next speakers are Randall Collis, followed by Bob Bussell.
Thank you, council and staff. My name is Randall Collis. I've been a citizen of Eugene since 1970. I've experienced the demise of downtown, the rebirth of downtown, the demise again of downtown. I have been a business operator in downtown since 1996 when we decided to reopen the city and actually allow businesses to thrive. I also was a founding board member, am a founding board member and the chairman of the board for the John G. Shedd Institute for the Arts. I think you all know who we are on one end of downtown. So I have had 30 years of operating a business in downtown. And I'm here tonight to say, I keep being told in multiple different roles that it is a perception that there's risk. And I'm telling you today that I have family members that won't come downtown, even to my office. I have constituents at the Shed who will not come down for evening performances out of fear of either their personal safety or damage to their vehicles. I can tell you as a individual who does come downtown at 5:30 in the morning, it's a different animal than what you see in the afternoon. Unfortunately, the city council now does not work downtown, so you really do not know what we face every day. And I really appreciate it if we could reestablish the rule of law, empower our police to do their jobs, despite some of the comments from previous people. I think without that, we're going to continue to run in the same circle, and eventually businesses who do pay a lot of taxes will be moving out of downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall. Our next speakers are Bob Bussell, followed by Jenny Bennett.
Good evening, President Evans, city councilors, and City Manager Madari. My name is Bob Bussell. I live in Ward 4. I've been active advocating on behalf of immigrants and refugees in our community for the past 20 years. I'm here tonight to speak to you about mass deportation and how we must respond. We now know what mass deportation entails: racial profiling, rampant violation of constitutional rights, separating families, kidnapping people off the streets, masked law enforcement officials terrorizing communities, locking people in horrific private prisons, and scaring the hell out of people to pressure them to self-deport. But perhaps the most chilling statement that summarizes these policies came from the acting director of ICE back in April, and I quote, "We need to get better at treating this like a business." Lyons said that he wanted to see a deportation process like Amazon Prime, but with human beings. We've heard this type of language before about treating people as things and implementing more efficient ways to transport them. It should make us all very afraid, and even more important, it should make us all very angry. This brings me to Avello. You've heard some discussion of this. Just today, Avello announced it was ending its West Coast operations. It claimed that protests had nothing to do with its decision. I've been an activist for over 50 years. I never once heard a business that I protested saying that protest affected its decision. But we know otherwise. Pressure works. I direct your attention to a recent action of the Eureka, California City Council. It voted not to use Avelo for flights associated with city business. As one councilor explained, though the economic impact is rather small in terms of Avelo's overall business, our decision not to fly on this airline represents a statement that there are better choices and better futures possible for our community. Every act of resistance, large or small, matters. Your voices as elected officials matter. There will be many opportunities to speak out and act as new funds for mass deportation will be used to ratchet up these abhorrent policies. Finally, when our children and grandchildren ask how we responded to authoritarianism and the inhumanity of mass deportation, I hope we can tell them that we did everything in our power to resist. Be a vocal and visible part of the resistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Our next speakers are Jenny Bennett, followed by Bill O'Brien.
Good evening, City Councilors and City Manager Maderi. My name is Jenny Bennett. I live in Ward 5 and I work downtown in Ward 1. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of our 130-member Eugene team and our clients, many of whom are deeply concerned about their safety. A few weeks ago, one of our colleagues was attacked while walking from her car to work. This incident shook us as a team, not only because it was violent and traumatic, but because it confirmed the fear that some of us have carried quietly for too long. I understand the reported crime in downtown has decreased by 6%. Thank you, police and red hats. But tonight I'm here to talk about what doesn't make the reports. I'm talking about the harassment, the broken windows, the verbal threats, and the morning walkarounds we do to clean up after overnight damage. These incidents rarely make it into the data, but they are lived experiences that are driving people away. In the past 3 years, we've seen a 40% increase in remote deposits and a 30% increase in courier. That's not growth, it's a retreat. Our clients are telling us with their behavior that they don't feel safe coming downtown. Many of the businesses around us have already shut and closed their doors. This is an urgent community issue. While downtown suffers, the whole city suffers. We know that a vibrant, active downtown improves safety, but people won't come back if they don't feel safe. As an employer and as an executive of Summit Bank, I feel a deep responsibility to ensure our team is safe, walking to and from work each day. This shouldn't be an extraordinary ask, it should be expected. If there's a role for Summit and our team in building stronger partnerships, we are ready. Thank you, City Manager Maderi, for calling and for your personal outreach after the attack. Now we need solutions, and we all look forward to collaborating with this team right here to develop them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Our next speakers are Bill O'Brien, followed by Katie Wilgus.
I'm rather concerned about an article I saw in Eugene Weekly on this week's edition about the proposed Amazon distribution plant or whatever in Highway 99 off the Eugene Airport. I am really concerned about the traffic flow, possibly widening Highway 99. And what I'm really concerned about is if you like Amazon, you like it, a lot of people don't, I don't like them either, but you like Amazon, they're gonna build a huge distribution center there. They're gonna have 6 football fields of buildings, whatnot. They're gonna have trucks coming in. They said in the Eugene Weekly it's gonna be 20 seconds. Someone said, or maybe I don't have my facts right, but at least 1,000 trucks, vehicles. It's gonna be out of control. What is it gonna do? The U.S. Postal Service is gonna suffer, FedEx is gonna suffer, United Parcel Service is gonna suffer. So I don't think it's gonna be a job creation. I think it's gonna be a job subtraction. And, what one can do, one has to, July 28th, 5 p.m. You go to LARAPA, you go to their website, it's on the Eugene Weekly, and you write them and you say you are concerned about the particulate matter that's going to be in the atmosphere. They said 20 tons, or maybe it was 84,000 tons. I don't know. It's just a huge mess. And I just don't think we need Amazon, you know? I mean, I'm reading in the BBC, these high-tech companies, Zuckerberg, he wants to build a data processing center that uses water and that pollutes the earth. It's gonna be the size of Manhattan. Manhattan's probably like 10 miles long, about 5 miles wide. Where are they gonna put it at? They're gonna put little ones in? I mean, this high-tech artificial intelligence, it's drawing us all into the system, and there is no control whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Our next speakers are Katie Wilgus, followed by Charlie Rojas.
Good evening, Council and City Manager. My name is Katie Wilgus. I'm representing the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce and Downtown Eugene, Inc. I also reside in Ward 8. Through my work downtown, I see firsthand both the challenges and the potential of our city center. I'm encouraged that the number of trespassing calls responded to by our Red Hats team has slightly declined. But with that said, we're seeing an increase in individuals who are struggling with severe mental health challenges, challenges that often go far beyond what our current resources can manage alone. Even as response numbers improve, we continue to have real experiences that challenge this positive trajectory. While it's tempting to dismiss or downplay a single incident like the recent assault because of a larger data set that suggests incidents are declining, we have to recognize the significance of these types of experiences on the overall success of downtown. Every time someone hears of an assault, sees serious vandalism, witnesses someone screaming at a family who's trying to eat dinner, it sets us back significantly in our efforts to change people's minds about our downtown. These events, even one-offs, dramatically impact neighborhood morale, customer behavior, investor confidence, public perception, and whether we can truly call our core welcoming. We simply cannot dismiss these occurrences, even if the data says that they are fewer and farther between, because perception is reality and our downtown is in crisis. When DEI launched the Red Hats program, we had 20 uniformed ambassadors providing visibility, support, and connection. Today, due to funding constraints, we have just 3. A large, visible, welcoming presence can go a long way, not only in deterring bad behavior, but reinforcing the message that downtown safety matters. I welcome the opportunity to partner with each one of you and with the broader business community to find the right path forward. I strongly believe that we can create a downtown that is safer, more
Thank you,
vibrant,
Katie. Your
and
time is
welcoming.
concluded. Our next speakers are Charlie Rojas, followed by Vivian Bennett.
Charlie Rojas, Ward 7. Lindsay Leach, wherever you are, when are you going to address the fiasco of the Chambers Bridge? We were told work would resume in May. It's middle of July, and neither you, Lindsay, the council, nor anybody in the administration has adequately adjusted or talked to the public about what's going on with this. We were told, as Janet Ayers brought up, that the issue had to do with Union Pacific and the city regarding flaggers. Flaggers. You told us that the bridge, the reason we got that bridge worked on was because it seismically was unfit and wasn't safe, so you received a federal grant to get it fixed. So you think damaging the bridge to the extent that you have, shoving traffic to one side, and just months before the rainy season is going to make that structure less prone to collapse? Frankly, what you've disseminated to the public, all of you, is not to be believed. What probably occurred was the feds pulled infrastructure grants from sanctuary cities and states. That makes far more sense because the Federal Department of Transportation issued a directive in April saying exactly that. It was followed by an executive order that said all Fed money was going to be yanked from sanctuary cities and states. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not sitting here saying that you should get rid of your sanctuary city status at all. What I am saying, it is your responsibility to tell people the consequences of all your policies, including sanctuary city, including MUPTI, which you have failed to do. We warned you, many of us came up to you and told you during the year that there was going to be a massive change in political sentiment coming out of Washington, D.C., and that the trains of federal magic money would be derailed. That was your responsibility, to make sure that you did policy that reflected the possibility of all of that happening, and you failed to do it. That's why we have a deficit, and we haven't even seen the beginning of it. Section 8 is going to be cut. Grants, student loan subsidies are going to be cut to the University of Oregon. This city cannot survive without the University of Oregon. So it is your responsibility to get up and start doing something and addressing these issues.
Thank you, Charlie. Our next speakers are Vivian Bennett, followed by John Lohr.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vivian Bennett. I live in Ward 5, Mike Clark's ward. I am here today to talk about an incident that happened downtown on Saturday, May 10th. This is something that has not only bothered me, but affected my perception of downtown. On this day, my mom and dad brought me, my younger sister, and a few of our friends to a Saturday night performance of Ballet Fantastique's Aladdin. We parked outside of the Woolworth and walked to the Holt Center. During our walk, we encountered a rough-looking adult male that said, "You ladies going somewhere fancy?" He seemed nice enough at first, but then proceeded to say, "You girls would look a lot better with no clothes on. My friends and I are 12, and my sister and her friend are 10. On our way back, we went through the Oak Street alley to get our car. We were greeted by 30 or so individuals shouting and partying next to a fire they had built in the alley. They were using open drugs and smashing beer bottles all over the ground. We were all terrified, so we held hands as a group and ran to the car, including my mom and dad. The next morning, my friend woke up screaming from a nightmare she had, thinking she was being thrown into the fire they had built. She had since decided she is no longer comfortable going downtown, even though she loves the performing arts. I am here asking for your help to make downtown a place me and my friends want to come back to. Thank you all again for your service in our community."
Thank you, Vivian. Our next speakers are John Lohr, followed by Kai Fireside. I'm thinking John was entered twice, and he did not come up last time. Okay, not seeing John. Our next speakers are Kai Fireside and Ann Bridgman.
Hi, my name is Kai. I'm going to read to you two selections from the contract that our city manager signed with Flock. Not our police chief or captain, but the city manager. For those of you that don't have a copy of the contract handy or have a hard time with run-on sentences, I'm going to reiterate the key points in plain English after the quote. Section 5.3, disclosure of footage, quote, "Flock may access, use, preserve, and/or disclose the footage to law enforcement authorities, government officials, and/or third parties if legally required to do so, or if Flock has a good faith belief that such access, use, preservation, or disclosure is reasonably necessary to comply with a legal process, enforce this agreement, or detect, prevent, or otherwise address security, privacy, fraud, or technical issues, or emergency situations," end quote. To recap, this is about as vague as you could possibly make it. Flock may disclose footage to third parties. That could mean anyone. This is contractually distinct from law enforcement. They can give the footage away if they have a good faith belief that it will address. What does address mean? Just about anything. To address security, privacy, or technical issues. No subpoena. They can just say they had a good faith belief that giving away the footage was to address a security concern. Next, from Exhibit A, 11.1, termination provisions. Quote, "The city may terminate the contract for any reason considered by the city to be in the public interest," end quote. They do list some possible reasons, including but not limited to. So the city just needs to say it is in the public interest to terminate the contract with Flock. Please terminate this contract.
Thank you, Kai. Our next speakers are Ann Bridgman, followed by Josh Easterland.
Council President, council members, and city staff. My name is Ann Bridgman. I live in Ward 3. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Avello Out of Eugene campaign. As of this morning, I had intended to present a resolution to you, which you all received yesterday, affirming the city's opposition to Avelo Airlines practices, and also to present to you a petition signed by nearly 1,000 people in the last 3 weeks, asking you to condemn Avelo Airlines' actions and make a statement affirming that Avelo's actions violate the City of Eugene's airport, the Eugene Airport's belonging and mission statement. I'm putting the petition here so that you have it. But as you probably know, this morning, Avelo announced that it will cease serving Eugene on December 1st. So although we no longer are asking you to review Avelo's contract or its operations, we are asking you to consider the following. Because we are a sanctuary state and because Avelo, under contract with ICE, actively participates in deportation flights that involve shackling nonviolent individuals, separating parents from children, or defying court orders, flying on Avelo over the next 4.5 months until December 1st is incompatible with the values of Oregon and the principles of basic human decency. So I ask you to speak out about the inhumanity of Avelo flying deportation flights. I ask you to speak out against having ICE-contracted businesses operate in Eugene, because while Avelo will be gone in December, others may follow. I ask you to do what city councilors in other cities and states across the country have done and make a public statement condemning Avelo. It is the right thing to do, it is the moral thing to do, and it is the ethical thing. And now that money no longer stands in your way, I hope you will speak out. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Our next speakers are Josh Easterland, followed by Chloe Longworth.
Hello, City Councilors. Nice to see you again. My name is Josh Easterland, Ward 8, the Director of Equitable Access Eugene, working to decriminalize the ability to grow, gather, and gift psychedelic plants and fungi. I've talked to you guys a number of times. I'm sad to have missed you the last time. I was actually coming back from the conference, the Psychedelic Science Conference in Denver, where 8,000 professionals and researchers and policymakers all got together to talk about the future of these substances. But what I actually wanted to do today was just start reading some of our resolution, which you can access or read yourselves on our website, equitableaccesseugene.org. Here's my business card again. You can scan the QR code for easy access. I won't get through it all today and might be a little bit boring, but so the resolution supporting entheogenic plant cultivation and practices and declaring that the investigation and arrest of individuals involved with the adult use and cultivation of entheogenic plants be among the lowest priority for the City of Eugene. So whereas entheogenic plants, based on the term entheogen, originally conceived by Ott, Ruck, and other colleagues from a working group of anthropologists and ethnobotanists in 1979, and defined herein as the full spectrum of plants, fungi, and natural medicine materials deserving reverence and respect from the perspective of the individual and the collective, that can inspire personal and spiritual well-being, can benefit psychological and physical wellness, and can reestablish humans' inalienable and direct relationship with nature. And whereas substance abuse, addiction, recidivism, trauma, post-traumatic stress symptoms, chronic depression, severe anxiety, end-of-life anxiety, grief, diabetes, cluster headaches, and other conditions are plaguing our community, and that the use of entheogenic plants has been shown to be beneficial to the health and well-being of individuals and communities in addressing these afflictions via scientific and clinical studies and within continuing traditional practices, which can catalyze profound experience of personal and spiritual growth. And I can't do the next one, so next time. See you all later.
Thank you, Josh. Our next speakers are Chloe Longworth, followed by David Eigel.
Good evening. My name is Chloe Longworth. I use she, they pronouns, and I live in Ward 7, represented by Lindsay Leach. I'm here on behalf of the Trans Alliance of Lane County to speak up against many of the incidents that we have had regarding ICE and other related things. The first one I want to start off with is that we should all know by now that Eugene is a sanctuary city and Oregon is a sanctuary state. And we are under that sanctuary, we are supposed to be protecting immigrant people from being unjustly kidnapped by ICE. And we are not doing a good job of that. We have had several kidnappings happen this month with aid from the EPD, which is unlawful, and there needs to be repercussions thrown back at the EPD for the illegal actions that they are taking to aid ICE. They have vilified protesters in public statements, and they have openly lied on that public statement. We also, as a sanctuary city, need the city councilors and Mayor Knudsen to speak up against what is happening, to speak up against the actions that ICE is taking, and to speak up against the implementation of the flock cameras, which is a government overreach and is a very big public safety concern. There are not very strong safety measures in place to protect us against flock cameras, and when those fail, there will be a lot of chaos unleashed from that. We need to have stronger laws against stuff like the flock cameras, which have unrestricted access to information that is being given to third parties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chloe. Our next speakers are David Eigel, followed by Randy Prince.
David Eigel, Ward 1. Speaking of Summit Bank, in 2016, when the abomination that was the denaming of Dunn Hall took place, Ross Kari, who was on the board of directors of the Summit Bank, was also serving as a trustee on the U of O, and he was head of the facilities committee that helped promote this abomination. I recently asked Mr. Lowe, who is the new head at the Lane County History Museum, if this summer they would be going to address the many issues that I've documented were false in the Racing to Change exhibit. And he said, well, this was in a public event. I'm new here, and you know, the Oregon Historical Society and the U of O and the museum over there, blah, 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 all, you know, had supported a lot of this stuff. And the problem is I've already furnished him materials. It's all documented. The things I want corrected are simply false. And I went to talk to him this Saturday. He wasn't there at the museum, but I was stunned to read in a display. The MIMS could not purchase the properties on their own because of the exclusionary laws that existed in Oregon at the time in the period. In the city of Eugene, black citizens were not permitted to own property until Oregon passed its Fair Housing Act in 1957. Both of these statements are completely false, demonstrably false. It's not a matter of opinion. It's just plain lying. I'll give you some examples. Wiley Griffin died in 1913. He was a homeowner. The Racing to Change exhibit had a whole wall of different black families that lived here over the years, different periods. They had Wiley Griffin's deed to his property, and inside was an audio spiel going on in which we were told the blacks couldn't live in Eugene. I mean, it's like, really? I mean, this stuff is just absolutely wrong. It's not true, demonstrably so. And I'm asking your help and everybody in the community to step forward and let's kind of get things cleaned up, because we got some real people with narratives they want to push. And I'm very happy as a native Oregonian to say those narratives are not true. And I have proven it. Thank you.
David, our next speakers are Randy Prince, followed by Sarah Castle.
Hi, I'm Randy Prince, resident of the Amazon neighborhood, Southeast Eugene. I'm co-chair of the neighborhood association there, but tonight I'm speaking on my own behalf. I have been meeting with chairs and co-chairs of 3 other South and East Eugene neighborhoods. We are concerned about preventing loss of life in the event of an urban conflagration. And I would like to urge you to direct the Eugene Springfield Fire Department to activate, replace, or repair the high-volume emergency warning sirens that previously were in service at neighborhood fire stations, sometimes referred to as air raid stations. They were, in fact, used in October 1962 in the Cuban Missile Crisis. For Eugene, the stations that can reach all of south of, say, 1st Street would be sufficient. And the default warning signal should be reserved for the event of a fire in progress that is or could likely become an east wind urban conflagration. Now, this is not a high-cost project. But for the rare case of east wind fires, the event I'm concerned about, it's not common. We may never see one here on the floor of the Willamette Valley. It's the result of particular late summer, fall weather phenomena that threatens communities up and down the West Coast. It's led to the loss of many lives and enormous property damages, especially in California. The problem with these events, they're not forest fires, conflagration of many houses on fire at once, spreading embers in the air, pushing the fire to the west at the rate of many miles per hour. Only a hardening of the structures could prevent the widespread fire spread. But we don't have such measures in the building code right now. And although these conditions are rare locally, they did destroy urban neighborhoods in Jackson County in 2020, as well as Blue River and Lane County, and of course many cities in California and Bandon. Oregon burned down in 1936, same type of weather. So yes, it could happen here. They're uncontrollable in the early stages when the wind is bearing down. Evacuation of everyone's the only option. If there are opportunities to suppress the fire and prevent its forward progress, all hands need to be on deck, not knocking on doors to notify people. And by the time other units get there, it's a little too late, damage done, lives lost. I had a chart here. You can't show charts here, but these fires move faster than the system will move, even with the Genesis system. Even if you churn out that information right away, you're not going to get to it the way a siren wakes people up in the middle of the night and saves their life. Please look into this, see what we can do
Thank
right
you,
away.
Randy. Our next speakers are Sarah Castle, followed by Michaela Marcotte.
Hi, thank you for allowing us time to speak tonight. I'm Dr. Sarah Cassell. I'm with Eugene Rheumatology, and I'm here to speak in support of a safe and vibrant downtown Eugene. A lot of people have spoken about this tonight, and so I want to just relay my business's impact and perspective. We're in the Minor Building on Broadway, and we regularly have staff who feel either harassed or unsafe walking from their cars to work. I have patients who come, some from other parts of this state, downtown, some who are elderly, some who have mobility issues, and they complain about being harassed on their way to their medical care and to our office, as well as feeling unsafe. And in fact, I have a number of patients who have opted not to come downtown to get their care anymore. So I am just asking for the City Council to try to help support making downtown Eugene more safe, more vibrant, and a good place for the whole community to work and live. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next speakers are Michaela Marcotte, followed by Bailey Gilmore.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns. My name is Michaela Marcotte, and I'm the Human Resources Director for Summit Bank. I live in Ward 5 and work downtown in Ward 1. Our colleagues' safety and well-being is our top priority, and as a local company and community bank, we have been committed to fostering an environment that emphasizes safety in and outside of the workplace. After one of our colleagues was assaulted in broad daylight just a few blocks from our workplace, it really impacted me as a company leader and what my responsibility and role is to help address colleague concerns and what our messaging is, to help build trust and provide a safe work environment. We continually preach and practice that it starts with open communication. We try and create an environment where everyone feels comfortable voicing their concerns, and so that is why I'm here, to share that a majority of our colleagues are afraid of walking to work due to several factors of feelings of unease and fear in downtown Eugene. In addition to the personal safety class provided by Eugene Police Officer Janina Rauger, we've also tried to address concerns by hiring a martial arts professional to give self-defense training, which will help, but we need more action to make Eugene streets safer. We take it very seriously. It's our obligation as business leaders to look out for our colleagues and look them in the eyes and confidently tell them we do everything we can to make them feel safe, but we can only do so much to reassure them. As I've mentioned, we do provide training, but it's getting more challenging with factors that are not within our control. This is truly an urgent matter that our colleagues are afraid to walk to work, which is affecting their morale and overall psychological safety. We need your help. How can we collaborate and demonstrate accountability in moving the needle forward with solutions for improvements we can all have confidence in? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Michaela. Our next speakers are Bailey Gilmore, followed by Irina Pack.
Hello, Council. My name is Bailey Gilmore, and I live in Ward 1. Thank you for your time this evening. I am very concerned about the use of Flock's AI surveillance system here in town. To be honest, I have so many concerns that I had a hard time figuring out what to say to you here this evening. I'll start with this. We need your close scrutiny in this matter. This surveillance affects everyone, from lifelong residents to folks who come to visit, from neighbors going to the doctor to kids biking home from school. The use of this surveillance is against city code. Our city makes promises to not target immigrants based on their citizenship status. When the law was made in 2017, Mayor Vinnis said, "This ordinance reaffirms and extends the City of Eugene's longstanding commitment to human rights and community safety for all." In Section 2.497, information not to be collected or maintained, Part 1 reads, "No city law enforcement personnel may collect or maintain information about the political, religious, or social views, associations, or activities of any individual group, association, organization, corporation, business, or partnership, unless such information directly relates to an investigation of criminal activities, and there are reasonable grounds to suspect the subject of the information is or may be involved in criminal conduct." We also know that ICE can get our data without EPD's permission, either by getting access to Eugene cameras through another Oregon agency or someone that agency shared with, or through a subpoena to Flock that may or may not be disclosed to EPD, or through another federal agency that requests data or access. This has happened in Chicago, San Francisco, San Diego, Long Beach, Oakland, Pasadena. I could go on. Finally, I'll note that Eugene would not be the first city to reconsider using Flock. Austin and Denver, for example, have rejected contract extensions with Flock. The idea that AI surveillance will solve Eugene's problems is not just ridiculous, it's dangerous. We know what works to prevent harm and safety, and this is not it. I urge Council to take the system offline while you look into these urgent issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey. Our next speakers are Irina Pack, followed by Cameron Alexandria Stringfield.
Thank you, City Council, for taking the time to listen to all of our voices. My name is Irina Pack, and I have worked in downtown for the last 9 years. And I just have 3 things I would like to share. So number 1, women who work in downtown are scared. I had lunch with a friend recently, and we talked about how we navigate downtown. We talked about planning our outfits, making sure to wear pants, shoes that are comfortable, easy to run in. This is Eugene, and we want to feel safe. The second point is, when I go to get coffee, I'm typically surrounded by at least one colleague. And even then, as I pass through the park blocks, I have been assaulted verbally with comments about my appearance and my clothing. And even though these are not crimes that can be reported, these are still things that make us feel unsafe. And lastly, my office is in the U.S. Bank Tower. And over my time there, we have noticed a significant number of businesses already move out of downtown. And this affects the bagel shops, it affects the coffee shops, it affects the cafes, the small business owners, and it affects the arts organizations, and it affects all of us because we are an ecosystem and we need to support one another in order to be a vibrant city. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. Our next speakers are Cameron Alexandria Stringfield, followed by John Crowder.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Stringfield. I live in Ward 7. I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. ICE is kidnapping people without due process in Eugene, Oregon. Let me say that again. ICE is kidnapping people without due process right here in Eugene, Oregon. Over the past few weeks, hundreds of community members have protested the detentions of our immigrant neighbors at the old federal building just a few blocks away. Why are we protesting? We protest this because we have to. We have a moral and political responsibility as citizens to speak out and stand up. We have to loudly confront ICE and tear away their veil of secrecy. We have to make sure all of Eugene knows what atrocities are being committed in that building. Being silent or quiet about it only helps ICE to commit these atrocities. It's been weeks since the news reported detainees at the field office weren't being allowed access to their lawyers prior to being transported. And those several weeks, and ever since this new administration came in and declared its intention to carry out mass deportations, our mayor and city council have said virtually nothing about it. Madam Mayor and City Council, you not only have a platform to speak out against these atrocities, but you have a responsibility. You all swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. Well, immigrants are having their constitutional rights violated right here in Eugene. Why have you not condemned this? Mayor Knudsen, who's not here tonight, please speak out as soon as possible through your social media. Councilwoman Leach, my representative, please speak out during concluding comments tonight. Every person on this council should say something immediately. What if your families were being separated? What if you left your children one day and didn't return? Where is your empathy and compassion for justice? Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Please speak out now, or we will remember your inability to lead, and we will vote you out in the next election. Eugene deserves better. And while I have the time, more police resources won't make downtown safer. Actual services and restoring cahoots will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cameron. Our next speakers are John Crowder, followed by Lisa Bouchot.
John Crowder, Ward 5. Greetings, council members and manager. You've heard about the safety and livability in downtown Eugene. I'm going to address the safety and livability in the River Road, Northeast Eugene. May 2022, Lane County Board of Commissioners signed a contract to operate the Navigation Center on River Avenue in River Road. City of Eugene was part of that decision. On Tuesday, July 22nd, the Lane County Board of Commissioners will decide whether to extend the contract for the operation of the Navigation Center through June 30th, 2026. Equitable Social Solutions operate the 75-bed Navigation Center as a low-barrier center to obtain permanent housing for the residents of the community. A low-barrier facility allows residents with no questions asked, whether you're a drug addict, alcoholic, allow individuals with a clouded history to reside, sex offenders, those with criminal record, those avoiding law enforcement, and those in the country illegally. The facility has in operation for the last 4 years. River Road, Santa Clara stands out as a great place to live, great neighborhoods to raise a family, their children, and retire. The livability and safety is going downhill in the last few years since the opening of the Navigation Center. The Navigation Center attracts a demographic that is completely opposite to the residents that live in River Road, Santa Clara, most likely folks from outside Lane County and Oregon. By renewing the contract, the county catering to that demographic rather than protecting the citizens and taxpayers in the community. The Navigation Center is like a magnet, and it attracts an undesirable demographic into the neighborhood, a demographic that most likely includes folks from outside Lane County and Oregon. And they're destroying the livability and safety. They flow into the neighborhoods that include families and their children in homes and apartments, retail businesses, eating establishments, and North Eugene High School. In reality, the Navigation Center is a square peg in a round hole, ill-conceived and not thought through in its original conception. Bottom line, the residents of River Road, Santa Clara deserve something better. I petition the City Council to submit to the Lane County Board of Commissioners a resolution to renew the contract with the stipulation.
Thank you,
that
John.
they
Your
will
time is
vacate the-
concluded. Our next
and
speakers
find
are
another
Lisa
facility
Busho, followed by
June 30,
Jolene
22.
Seamson. That was Lisa Busho or maybe Busco. All right, moving on to the next speaker, Jolene Seamson. Okay, moving on to Boris Wiedenfeld Needham.
Hi there, I'm Boris Wiedenfeld Needham. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I am a local business person here in town. I own several businesses around town. And I am here not to talk to you about my business, but to talk to you about ICE and what they're doing, because you probably know that there are thugs that are masked in unmarked vans taking our brown neighbors off the street. Now, one of my jobs when I'm not at my work is I'm also spokesperson for 5051 Eugene. And I am here to tell you that we are not okay with this. I know that you are not our enemy. You are our allies in this, but we need to hear more from you. We need to hear more from you publicly about condemning what is going on. I would say don't underestimate us. At our last somewhat casual protest, we drew 10,000 people to the streets of Eugene. If we try to, we could get 25,000 people out there. The people are with us. There is no question about this. And we have the power to do a lot of things here. We have the power to unseat people here. Don't take this as a threat. It's not. Like I said, you are our allies. But we vote. There are many of us, we appreciate what you do. We just need to hear more from you. My parents grew up in World War II Germany. We saw what happened there. I asked myself many times as a child, what would I have done in those times? And those times are here now, and now I know what I am doing. I hear a lot of the other concerns, and we agree with many of them, but we really just want you to speak up more, to be more vocal about what's happening. I know there's a limit to what you can do, but we really want our city council and our mayor to be out there up front saying, we are not okay with this. We are a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state. And also, while I have 16 seconds remaining, flock, yeah, also not good with us. That's 2 thumbs down from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boris. One last call for Lisa Busho or Jolene Seamson. All right, moving on to Vicky Gray. And then we will have time for one more Danny Patch. Is there a Vicky Gray?
Good evening. My name is Vicki Gray. I live in Ward 4 and I work in Ward 1. I'm the Senior Vice President and Relationship Banking Team Leader at Oregon Pacific Bank. You've heard from our CEO, Ron Green, tonight about our company's commitment to the economic vibrancy of downtown Eugene, a key component of which is personal safety for our employees, our visitors, and our neighbors. I agree with him wholeheartedly. On the matter of personal safety, I would like to offer that I have been working in downtown Eugene for over 21 years. During that time, we've experienced periods where personal safety feels more at risk than other times, but personal safety has been a persistent issue at some level for the entire period. Today, we have more people traveling around the area trying to exist in limited space. Many are desperate for a safe place to sleep. Others are here to take what is not theirs. We are here tonight in support of our colleague who was recently attacked by someone willing to take what was not theirs at whatever cost. We are extremely grateful that she was not more seriously injured. We know this is not the first time this type of attack has taken place, but it has garnered the loudest response from people with a voice who recognize their privilege and are willing to use it for the common good. There are many in our community who do not share this privilege and yet they are subject to the same risk. We must remember that their safety is important too. I believe it is our duty to use our voice, our energy, and our privilege to ensure the safety of all who choose to work, visit, and exist in our downtown area. Collectively, we are asking the city to join with local business to improve the security for all who want to work and live and enjoy our downtown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vicki. Our next and final speaker with the 90-minute time limit is Danny Patch.
I'd like to say that I don't really think most of you are our friends. You have a long track record of working against us. Your selfishness is very plain. You buy yourself $25 million buildings for yourself without our permission. You tear down our former city hall without our permission. I don't really think you're our friends. And I think a lot of you are very incompetent and you're not up to the task. I'd like to ask you why you have a war against transportation. I often average 100 miles a day in this city. And for the last 40 years, you have been systematically eliminating our roads, our lanes, our routes. We don't have any alternative routes. And now, through your stupidity, and I will say that quite clearly, you are choking our main corridor that goes east and west. This Oregon State Highway Department estimates between 55 and 75,000 cars a day go through Broadway, Highway 99. And you're turning that into 1.5 lanes, 2 lanes. Where are those cars going to go? They're going to just disappear in your little mind? And let's add some emergency vehicles to that situation. Fire trucks, they always travel with an ambulance. Police need to get somewhere fast. Where are those lanes of traffic, those tens of thousands of cars going to go? Why don't you let us drive and get somewhere in a sensible, logical way instead of creating these streets of chaos? Because you listen to these ideas that we're going to make all the cars disappear and we're just going to ride our bikes. You're just plain stupid. It's going to affect you too. When you get injured and you need an ambulance, they're not going to make it. Talk to any fire department about how long it takes to respond in this city. And they have lots to say. I talked to them. Also, we want our 3 minutes back. That was our time. It was a one-shot deal, and now you've taken away from us forever. We want our time back. It's how much you allot yourselves. Instead of being greedy, why don't you be a little bit fair?
Thank you, Danny. Council President, that was our final speaker.
Comments from council? Councilor Ye? Oh, wait, my thing went out. So, yeah, Councilor Kaczynski, then Councilor Keating, then Councilor Ye.
Thank you, and I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to speak, and for the folks who didn't have a chance to speak tonight, please feel free to send us an email or I guess I would say come back next time, but we're on break for a bit. But please feel free to reach out via email if you weren't able to make your comments tonight. I want to say I am downtown every day. I work downtown. I'm walking through downtown every day. And so I have a very good sense of what downtown is experiencing and what's happening downtown. And I do remain committed to helping to make sure that downtown is a safe, welcoming place for everyone in our community and continuing to work to do that. This has been something that we have been working on as a community for some time. It's not an easy thing to work on. There are lots of complexities there. And so, we're continuing to do that work and continuing to look at how we can help downtown be someplace that we all can enjoy. So, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, Councilor Keating.
Thank you, Council President.
Before I launch into a piece around immigration and sanctuary city status, I want to thank Vivian, age 12, who provided testimony tonight. I don't know if she's still here. She had to go to bed. Vivian, your testimony was brave, deeply troubling, disturbing, sad, and I want Vivian and everyone within earshot to know that nobody should have to endure such insult and have to live with such fear and concern for one's safety in our community, especially in our downtown. I'm deeply saddened and I'm deeply troubled. And to Vivian, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to, and your friends had to experience such gross behavior. At the top of tonight's council meeting, Councilor Groves gave an IGR, an Intergovernmental Relations Report, in which you kindly referenced my boss, State Senator James Manning, thanking Senator Manning for the work that the Oregon legislature did this cycle. Thank you. Senator Manning passed a bill, Senate Bill 1191, that protects persons who share with other persons what their constitutional or civil rights are at the time that they're engaging with law enforcement at any level. Protects that person from being charged with obstruction of justice or prohibiting and protects that person from being charged with interfering with the official duties of a peace officer. So I want to extend the gratitude you so kindly gave to Senator Manning about the legislative accomplishments. And I wanted to highlight that bill in particular, that there are all levels of government that are working to push back against the atrocities. And I also want to thank Chair Jensina Hawkins of the Eugene Police Commission for communicating with City Council about the importance of upholding Resolution 5174 that this city once affirmed, that we are committed to being a welcoming, inclusive, and safe community for all. Resolution 5073, that we have a supportive statement of principles for immigration, and City Council's ordinance number 20579, providing certain protections for all Eugene residents, including immigrants. Thank you.
Councilor Ye.
Thank you, President. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We went through quite a few subjects tonight. I appreciate that, and I'm going to touch on a few of them. First, I wanted to share, since our police auditor isn't here tonight, that they received quite a few complaints about July 1st, and they have already opened an investigation on that, and they will be reporting back to council. I think I can speak for all of us that we take our sanctuary status very seriously, and I hope that the investigation will move along quickly, and we will receive information about that incident, and depending on what we learn, I hope that there will be I guess we will wait and see. I'm sorry. I don't have a prepared statement, so I'm just working through this. But I wanted to let everyone know that that is ongoing, and we should be getting information back, probably not right away, but soon. My other thing was, I really appreciate folks who came to talk about the camera system tonight. As I said earlier in this meeting, I thought that the testimony at Police Commission was very enlightening, and some of the folks are here tonight, not all of them, so I encourage my colleagues to watch the Police Commission video, because some of the folks who were not here tonight had very thoughtful testimony that I think people will be interested in. And on that line, Ken Willis, if you're still here, can you please stay, because your email address did not work, and I would like to connect with you. So if you're still in the room, please stay afterwards so we can connect. Oh, and maybe Councilor Clark has that information as well.
And his phone number.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And I think that is all. Lastly, I'll stick around for the folks who didn't have time to speak for a little while afterwards. If you want, I'll come over here. I know it can be frustrating when you come and don't get to have an opportunity to speak. So thank you so much.
Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Council President. And I want to start off picking up what you laid down, Councilor Keating. Vivian stuck out in my mind as well, although I appreciate everybody that came and testified on a variety of subjects tonight. But yeah, I was horrified to hear her recount. No child should have to put up with that. Like my colleagues, I'm concerned about everybody's safety. I'm concerned about the downtown. I'm concerned about Highway 99 North. I'm concerned about River Road, Santa Clara area that's seen some problems as well as my own ward. We have our own problems out the West 11th corridor, although I do feel it has gotten better with a number of physical improvements and more attention, but there's still reoccurring problems that we need to find a better way to address. But as far as safety and security, again, that needs to apply to everyone who lives here, everyone who passes through this city. And it's, I believe in the rule of law. I believe in protecting our Constitution. And there's certainly a lot that's going on in our country right now that I find concerning. And it is problematic. And it does reduce the safety of our entire community. When one is attacked, we're all attacked. And that is something that we need to take seriously and again, do what we can working with our community to try and make things better, trying to make things safer. I've already seen what happens when community and government come together. We now have lighting on the Fern Ridge bike path that was the scene of a couple of sexual assaults a year or so ago. It's much safer today than it was at that time. We have improved a number of things with infrastructure in our streets. And I also want to address, I think misinformation can be very dangerous. I'm not aware of a $25 million building that we have purchased. I know the facility we're sitting in right now, we purchased for $12 million. We put an additional $8 million in it to bring it up to the situation it is now. At the same time, we stopped paying lease rates for a lot of our staff, and we're able to bring them under one roof, which actually improves efficiency. And I think it's important to remember that. When we talk about community safety and bringing community together, it's important that your government have a seat, and that's what this building represents. And it's everybody's. It's not ours. It's everybody's. And I'm running out of time. There's a lot more I could say, but thank you again for sticking with us and being here tonight.
And Councilor Leach.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you everyone that came out to speak tonight. I know because we all live here in this city and in this nation. We have so much to work on, and I want to thank everyone who came to point some of that out. I'm as distressed and distraught by a lot of these things that are happening. I want to quickly speak about the Chambers to River Road Bridge. There was some comments about why that project stopped. I absolutely agree that the delay in the project is causing hardships. I navigate that construction zone every day. But it's not because we've lost funding for this particular project because of our sanctuary status, but because of a stop work order due to some permitting that was not obtained properly by the contractor, from what I'm told. We're working with them to get those permits and to get the project back up and running again. I hope that can happen soon. But regarding speaking out about our sanctuary city status, every single one of us on this council met publicly earlier this year to speak out in support of our sanctuary status. And we are standing strong in light of a lot of threats and pressure. It's a really scary time for all of us. But I want to thank Councilor Keating for your comments about our code and about kind of the direction we're taking. But I can't speak for everyone. I will keep asking questions, keep asking the hard questions, and keep going and looking into those cases that were described today, as well as more into the flock camera issues. I don't know a ton about this system, and so I will keep investigating. As for Avelo and the other airlines, we on the city council, we don't have the ability to dictate what airlines fly in and out of here, but I can say that I do condemn them for their involvement in deportations, and I'm glad that they're vacating from our airport. For downtown businesses and all of those that came to speak out tonight, affected by the attack downtown and these feelings of not being safe, I really feel for you, and especially Vivian. I know several of us have already spoken about the experiences that she shared and the strength to be able to share that story. But we are working hard to improve conditions. We are going to keep having these conversations. I really want you all to continue coming. It's so important for us to hear your voices and about the things that you care about. So appreciate you all and have a great night. And this is our last public comment period until September. So send us your emails. We'll be reading them. Thank you.
Anything else from council tonight? If not, I now close the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the Eugene City Council. Good evening.